Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. This is my fourth video that I filmed today, so if I seem exhausted, that's why, but I just need to get this filmed. This is going to be my 2023 TBR, or 23 books I'd like to read in 2023. I think I'm just going to call this my 2023 TBR, but this is 23 books / series that I want to read in 2023, so here we go. So these are in no particular order, like I don't want to read some of these more than the other. These are some I just really want to get to in 2023. If I don't get to them all, that is okay, but my goal is to try to get to as many as possible. So I'm going to be very quick in describing these. Some of these I don't know that much about, but I've heard great things. So we'll start off with The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This is the first book in the Dreamland Billionaires series, and it's basically like you follow the grandsons of basically like Walt Disney. Like Dreamland is kind of like, think of Disney World, and each book you're following one of the grandsons. And the first book is The Fine Print. My friend Mac loves the first book, doesn't really like the second book as much, and I've been meaning to read this probably for about a good year and just haven't, so put it on the list. Book number 2 is The Deal by Elle Kennedy. I don't know much about this except it is a hockey romance. So yeah, I have recently been really into hockey romances. So I really want to read this. I've owned the ebook for probably close to a year and a half now and just haven't gotten around to reading it. So add it to the list. Twisted Games by Anna Huang is the second book in the Twisted series. I read Twisted Love in 2022. Really enjoyed it and just haven't continued the series, hence why I'm adding Twisted Games. This has the bodyguard trope as you're following Bridget, who is a princess, and Reese, who is her bodyguard, and the romance that forms between the two of them. I really want to try to get the Twisted series done this year, so Twisted Games would get me a step in that right direction. The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I really want to read this. I wanted to read it in 2022 but never did. This, we are basically following 6 people who get like selected to kind of, I think it's partake in competitions. Like they have to earn their place in the Alexandrian Society, the foremost secret society in the world. The chosen will secure a life of power, prestige beyond their wildest dreams, but at what cost? And there are 6 people that are selected, but only 5 spots, so it's kind of like a competition of sorts. I've heard really great things, and so I really want to read it. Next we have Unhinged by Only James. I've heard amazing things about this series. My friend Reese recently has started reading the series, and has literally basically been like, read it, so I added it to the list. This is the first book in, I think it's a 7-book series, and you basically are following these 7 brothers, and they are all like raised to be killers by their adopted father, and each series is like, each book is about one of the brothers and their love interest. These are all male romances, and I've just heard amazing things, so I really want to read it. I literally have never heard a negative thing about this, and it's dark romance. I love dark romance, so add it to the list. Take a shot every time I say add it to the list. Next we have A Duel with the Vampire Lord by Elise Kova. This is the 3rd book in the Married to Magic series, which is a series of standalone fantasy romances. The first book is A Deal with the Elf King, the second book is A Dance with the Fae Prince, and the 3rd book is A Duel with the Vampire Lord. And all I know is this basically is about a human and a vampire, and I don't know anything beyond that. And this came out in August of 2022, and I've been meaning to read it ever since. I have loved the first 2 books in this series, so I figured it's a standalone. It's technically a standalone, so it'll be a quick read. So yeah. I'm going to quickly apologize for background noises. It started to get really hot, so I had to turn my fan on top of my bookshelf on. But we'll move on to the next book, which is Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake, where basically it's like a small town romance. One of them has to go back to their old town for their sister's wedding, and these 2 women cross paths, and a relationship forms somehow. I know that my friend Clint really likes this book, and basically has been yelling at me to read it, so yeah, I've also been wanting to read it since honestly it came out, and I'm disappointed in myself that I haven't, so maybe in 2023. The next book is A Throne from the Ashes by Chloe C. Penaranda. This is the third book in the Air Comes to Rise series. I believe that's the series. And this is the first two books are young adults, and then I think this third book is moving into new adult. And it is a fantasy romance series. In the first book, I think in Air Comes to Rise, I'm horrible at remembering book titles apparently, we follow Faith, who she is a night walker, and night walkers basically are people that can enter other people's dreams, and this is a ability that humans should not have, but she does, and she ends up getting help from a guard named Nick to help her with this ability, and we go from there, and it is this epic fantasy romance. I really enjoyed the first two. I just have not gotten around to the third book. The fourth book is already out, and the fifth book comes out in January, so I really need to catch up on this series. I'm disappointed in myself that I haven't read it because I loved it. The next book is Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab. This is the third book in the Cassidy Blake series, which is a middle grade horror-ish, spooky. In the first book, we're following Cassidy Blake, who she can see ghosts. She has a little ghost friend named Jacob, and the two of them go around and kind of solve these ghost mysteries as Cassie's parents travel to these different cities for their job, and it's adorable. I don't know why I haven't read Bridge of Souls. It's adorable, it's cute, it's a really quick read, and this will be finishing the series, so love to read it. Next we have Dark Fae by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. This I know nothing about, except it is a Why Choose fantasy romance, and that's pretty much it. It's set in the world of Solaria, which is what the Zodiac Academy series is from. I've read the first three Zodiac Academy books, but I need to go back and reread them, and I'm reading them in publication order, so at some point this year I will be reading Dark Fae and just this entire series. So I figured add it to the list because I really want to get to it. So yeah, I've heard amazing things about it. The next book is technically a reread, but Serpent and Dove by Shelby Meheran. I read Serpent and Dove and Blood and Honey in 2020. Was it 2020? I think it was 2020. And I really enjoyed them, but I don't remember anything, and I'd really love to finish the series by reading Gods and Monsters. I actually DNF'd Gods and Monsters because I did not remember anything from the first two books. So Serpent and Dove, basically we are following a witch named Lou and a witch hunter named Reed, who end up having to form this marriage, it's kind of a marriage to save both their reputations, and they hate each other, and that's pretty much all I remember. I kid you not, that's all I remember, so I definitely need to reread it. I loved the first two books. I gave them 5 stars, but I don't remember anything. So this is kind of an exception, but I basically don't remember anything, so it'll be like reading a book for the first time, I guess. The next book is Broken Bond by Jay Bree. I've heard amazing things about this book on Book Talk. All I know is it's a Why Choose fantasy romance. That's literally all I know. So yeah, I love the cover. I've heard amazing things. I just want to read this so bad, and honestly I'm mad at myself for not reading it, so yeah. Number 13 is Flock by Kate Stewart. I know nothing about this except my friend Karina loves it. Read it in, I think earlier this year, or late last year, and loved it. It made her sob. I've heard good things about it, and I think it's only a trilogy, so it'll be very easy to read. So yeah. Next we have Fable by Adrienne Young. This I know actually nothing about, except it's pirates. I own both the books, Fable and Namesake, and I've been meaning to read this since I bought it. So yeah, it's a YA fantasy. Don't really have any other things except I want to read it. The next book is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This, all I know is we follow Addie LaRue, who in the, I can't remember exactly what year, she makes a deal with a demon, or something like that, to become immortal. But in doing so, there is a catch where everybody who she meets will forget she exists, and but then there is a boy that remembers her, and that's pretty much all I know. I've heard amazing things about this. I've loved everything I've read by V.E. Schwab, which actually I have 2 V.E. Schwab books on this, because V.E. Schwab is Victoria Schwab, just Victoria Schwab is her like middle grade writing, middle grade in YA, I think, pen name, so yeah. Next we have Cytonic by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 3rd book in the Skyward series, which is a young adult sci-fi series. In the first book, Skyward, we follow Spencer, who she lives on this this planet, and there are aliens that basically like attack every so often, and so there has to be this fleet of like people that go and attack, and Spencer really wants to be one of them, but she can't because of what her father does, and like what her father did, of how he rebelled, and we go from there. We're following Spencer, and this I've heard really mixed things of this. Basically, a lot of people say that basically each book is just a like the same story but with different characters, and I'm scared about that. But I do need to read the novellas that take place before this, which is like the Skyward Flight bind up. I need to buy that. But I do want to get to this because I've owned it for a while, and I've read Starsight, which is book 2, September of last year, so things are starting to slowly disappear. Like, I remember enough, but I'm scared that by the end of this year I won't remember anything. Next we have All of Our Demise by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman. I have the first book, All of Us Villains, but All of Our Demise will be here. But All of Us Villains, basically we are in this town where every generation there is this competition for like that the families participate in, basically, and it is basically a competition to the death. Whatever person survives, their family gets control of the magic for the next generation. But there was this book published by one of the one of the founding family's members that exposes the competition, and so there's now media in the town surrounding this competition, and we are following 4 characters who are taking part in this competition, and it's to the death, and basically they're trying to figure out a way to stop the competition. I really liked this when I read it in January of 2022, and I really need to get the sequel so that I can finish it, hence why I'm putting it on the list so that I will read it, because I really enjoyed this, and so I'm mad that I haven't read this. I just need to get it. Maybe I might try to get it for my birthday or something. I don't know. Next we have 7th Circle by Tate James, which is the first book in the Hades saga, and this is basically a dark romance. It is a gang, like I think it's all like a why choose. I think we're following the gang leader Hades and her love interests. This is in the same world as the Madison Kate series, which I read and I really loved. Honestly, I want to do a reread of the Madison Kate series, so I might do that before I read the 7th Circle. But I really want to read more of Tate James books, so I figured 7th Circle because I've been meaning to read it for over a year, and maybe I'll finally get to read it in 2023. Next we have Haunting Adelaide by H.D. Carlton, and this, all I know, is basically it is a dark romance where you follow Adeline, or is it Adeline? Adeline, and her stalker Zaid, and I've heard amazing things about this. It's a really dark romance with a lot of triggers, so aka sign me the fuck up. That's literally all I know. So yeah. On a little bit of a lighter note, but not so much, Solitaire by Alice Oseman. I'm mad at myself for not reading all of Alice Oseman's books because obviously, as you can see, I own a few. But I want to get my hands on physical copies before I read them. But Solitaire is the kind of what kicked off Alice Oseman's writing career. And overall, I don't know much about this beyond basically that it's about Tori Spring, which if you've read Heartstopper, Tori is Charlie's older sister, and basically following her story. And yeah, I'm really excited to read it. I will probably be trying to get these like physical copies of basically all of Alice Oseman's books at some point, so maybe I can try to get Solitaire soon and read that. Next is Prince of the Sorrows by Kellen Graves. I know nothing about this except it is a fantasy romance that basically I think we're following a fae who is a scholar, and I honestly don't know much about it, but I've been following the author since before the first book came out, and I think book 2 just came out a few months ago, so I'd like to maybe catch up before book 3 comes out, because what I've heard about it is amazing, and the author has been just hyping it up, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to read it so bad. Next is Bully by Penelope Douglas. If you do not know, I am a simp for every single character Penelope Douglas has ever written that I've read, and Bully is one of the series that I haven't. This, all I know is it is, I think, enemies to lovers, and bullying, like a bully romance. It's like a series of standalones. Like, I think you're following like a friend group or something. I don't know anything about it beyond that. I know I want to read it. I've loved everything that Penelope Douglas has written that I've read, which is like the Devil's Night series, Punk 57, Trix, Six Venom, Credence, Birthday Girl. I don't think I'm missing anything. That sounds about everything I've read. But I want to read everything that Penelope Douglas has written, so this will be a step into doing that. And then the final book on this list, book number 23, is There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. All I know about this, it is a dark romance where you are following a serial killer. And that is basically all I know. I have read 2 books before with serial killers and really enjoyed them. I know in this, it's like, the serial killer is a serial killer for reasons. I don't know those reasons, but I'm excited to read it. My friend Morgan has read this, and basically as she was reading it was yelling at me, just fucking read it, drop what you're doing and reading it. Obviously I didn't, but now I'm like, I really want to read it. I've heard amazing things about it, and it's only a duology, so perfect. But those are the 23 books that I want to read in 2023. Let me know what is one book that you want to try to get to in 2023, or if any of these books you've read and your thoughts, or if you're interested in any of these. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye!